can't believe she's 17. All right.
Right?
Incredible, incredible. All right, so when doctors and experts say there's a mental health crisis going on, it's true, but also different from being in a mental health crisis.
Tiffany Huber's licensed clinical social worker and the director of the Mobile Crisis Intervention Services for Wheeler, here to help us figure out what a mental health crisis can look like and what to do. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you so much for coming in. This is such an important story. Tell us a little bit about, we hear this a lot about when kids are in a mental health crisis, but what do you think is causing this crisis in this country? What are some of the things that you think is causing that?
Of course, and good morning. So some of the things that's causing mental crisis in the country, I think we need to start with the basics or the beginning phases of things, and that's genetics. So what we do know is that for people who have a family history of mental illness, the likeliness of them receiving a mental health diagnosis during some point of their lives is likely. However, that does not mean that it will always happen, but sometimes it does happen. And then another thing that we want to think about is social economic things, like if a person is struggling financially, they're thinking about just taking care of their basic needs. They're not thinking about getting mental health services. So that's another piece of it. And then one other piece I think that is important for us to all acknowledge is the long-term stress from COVID-19 pandemic. It was, if you really think about it, it was thousands of lives lost during that time. And during that time, that means that little kids lost their mom and dad. And as well as people lost their loved ones. And that what comes from that is grief, and for some of those people who have grief, the grief lasts a long time, and then that goes into developing depression, anxiety, and other diagnoses.
Tiffany, tell us about the mobile. I was not aware that you actually go to people's homes in this mobile unit. Tell us about that.
So we do go to people's homes. So for mobile crisis, we can be accessed through 211 option 1 again, or 988, our suicide prevention line. Once you're connected to them, you will then be connected to a telephone specialist. Then we'll then get connected to a clinician through mobile crisis. They'll get a little bit about what's going on, and then we'll be on our, if it's a mobile request, we'll be on our way. Our response time is 45 minutes, but we always try to get there sooner.
Right.
And then at that point, we're doing an assessment, we're safety planning with the family, we're making recommendations for treatment and services, and all of those things. So we're just making sure that we can maintain the crisis, not only support the child or the family member in crisis, but also support support everyone that's involved.
That is so important. You're literally saving lives. Yeah. You're literally saving lives. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that, if their child is in this crisis or they're in the crisis, a lot of people don't realize that they can do something about it. They can, call 211, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. They can call 211. The one thing that I always think is important for families and their loved ones to know, like if you see that a crisis is happening, you should start with first staying calm. Because what I've noticed just working in the field, physically going out, is that not only the child or the person's in crisis, but the whole family's in crisis. So I think those loved ones need to say, okay, this is happening, so let me figure out what to do next. And so once you identify that that safety exists for that, there's a safety concern or a crisis that exists, then we want to move forward to call 211 option 1 so that you can speak to someone to help you in that crisis.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being on the show.
Yeah, of course.
And congratulations to you on your career path. It is really from intern to director.
That's amazing.
That's wonderful.
Thank you so much. Such important information. Thanks so much for coming on.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Tiffany. Hopefully we'll see you again.
Absolutely.
Come back, come back.
Wheeler Health Services, we really appreciate you coming on.
Okay. Audrey, take it away.